Hello again, whiskey friends. Thanks for joining everybody for another whiskey review. And for today's review, we are going to be going over another release from Hard Truth. Hard Truth has been killing it this year. I really don't know if there's going to be anything left to review the rest of the year, but geezy Pete, I feel like I've done a handful of bottles this year and they've all graded pretty high. Today's is going to be the third in a series of four collaborations they're doing with Mellencamp Whiskey. And this is in support of local Indiana farming. This is the French Oak Harvest Rye. And you can see the cool artwork here, too. Each of these releases has had this cool artwork. This is actually a self portrait of John Mellencamp, those blue eyes just staring at you. And just a warning here, I do plan to put that bottle right here. So those eyes are going to be staring at you for the next couple reviews after this. So thank you for joining today, whiskey friends. Let's kick off the show. All right. Got a good pour there to go with everybody. And I'm going to give this one the tulip treatment here for today's tasting. Now, when I do all the reviews and the official scoring, I always do it at a Glen so everything's on a level playing field. But when I do these tastings with you, I actually do choose the glass that I think is appropriate for. In this particular tasting, I am most excited to get back into this nose. I think it's my favorite part of this particular experience. So I'm going to hone that a bit more, and we'll see if I'm able to pull out anything additional, beyond the notes that I have. So as stated before, and here, let me pull up the information here on the side. This is the Hard Truth Harvest Rye. Once again, the third release in this series. The first one was the Harvest Rye not finished, and I'll get into the mash bill in just a moment. The second one was a blend that was also finished with an Amburana. And then the third one is back to that first mash bill of the Harvest Rye, but this time finished in French oak, which isn't a finish that I've actually gotten a lot of in 2024. Seemed all the rage in 2022 and even in 2023, but really seems to have fallen off this year. And I don't know why, based on this particular one, because it's really fun to go back to it. The other thing with this one is this is a different rye mash bill than typical Hard Truth releases. Off memory, 72% rye, 28% corn. Whereas the other sweet mash rye that we do adore and actually just did a pick of a few weeks ago, that one was 95.5 rye. So different mash bills when it comes to Hard Truth. Always good to go to their website or some press releases to get those type of information, get those details down. The other bit of this is a $70 release. Now, got this from Hard Truth, and full disclosure, this was a bottle that they gave to the channel to do a review. The proof on this one is 104. I'm going to talk about that a lot. And it is non-age stated, though we can probably imagine 3 years, 4 years, something in that range, knowing Hard Truth and where they are in their life cycles right now. But it is non-age stated, so that's all speculation on my part. So we're going to get into the nose, get into the palate, and then get into the finish, get into the final scores, and we'll see where this one ranks on the year. Cheers, everybody. Let's get into this thing. Oh yeah, the glass does amplify it a bit. Gosh, it's the fruits. It's always the fruits with Hard Truth. Man, getting equal parts though, light and dark and a richness in there. I still immediately go to the fruits, but it is a whole medley of fruits, which isn't something that I say very often with ryes, but can never escape when it comes to Hard Truth. So we're talking a medley of berries, apricots. Oh man, even a bit of citrus too. I guess that makes sense for the rye, but little citrus there as well. With the finishing cast, it does lend itself a nice toasted quality to this. It comes across like a toasted marshmallow. I know my notes got a little bit more in depth later on, maybe even comparing it to more toasted meringue or a baked Alaska, but something that has been charred with all of those sugars. There's also a lot of vanilla going on. I'd equate it to a sweet cream icing. And then from there, just in general, a lot of sweetness emerging, even just in the form of powdered sugar. So just imagine a whole lot of fruits, gosh, powdered sugar on there, and then we're doing some char with maybe some marshmallow fluff on top, just for the fun of it. Really, really good though for a rye and a French oak finish. I do think sometimes I prefer Finnish ryes over Finnish bourbons, and a French oak is one of those ones as well, where I think I prefer it on a rye than a bourbon. So when it comes to the nose on this one, I mean, I do love the nose. It's just all those fruits. I just can't get away from them. So for the nose, I am going to give this one two thumbs up. And the fact that it's 104 proof, it doesn't need all that extra volume or alcohol to like carry those flavors. So interesting to me. All right, now let's get into the palate. Cheers, everybody. Hmm. Ooh, bit of mint on that one. That was a new flavor. Okay. Up front, a lot of the same things going on at first. Immediately go to waves of vanilla and apricot and berries. But those dark undertones continue to kind of live there, especially up front with that toasted marshmallow. Um, Even got this toasted buttered bread elements as well. Mm. Beautiful creamy mouthfeel too. You know, the fact that this has been seemingly proofed down to 104, it doesn't lack for flavor or the mouthfeel because of that. It's actually kind of perfect at this proof point. Might be one of my favorite pours at this proof point all year too. When it comes to mid palate, similar notes through and through. It doesn't have a lot of transitions, I would say. I would say most of that just carries through. Um, More of the apricot, maybe even describe it as a apricot meringue pie. I don't know if such a thing exists, but now that I've said it out loud, maybe I can will it into the world. But not like a lemon meringue pie, but that cream would be apricot flavored. Of course, that meringue on top, as I've been saying, extra charred. Man, there's even like burnt pie crust. The edges of that pie crust are burnt as well. Gosh, I really love what this French oak is doing on this thing. So when it comes to the palate, gonna give this one a thumbs up as well. Really love exploring this. Teetered on whether to give it two thumbs up, but for the most part, it's kind of a delicate whiskey. Um, Gosh, I do love that apricot note though. All right, let's get into the finish. Same notes transition to the finish. The vanilla steps up quite a bit, getting more of just the straight meringue than a lot of the other flavors that are with it. It's almost like I scooped out the middle of the apricot there. I say that, and then the apricot catches up. It's even going across the sides of my tongue. I guess that's the main note that I continue to come back to is an apricot amongst all those fruits that I highlighted off the nose. One more sip on the finish, and we'll wrap this one up. Ooh, that was a good sip. Ooh, there was that mint again. That mint was not in my notes, but now I'm getting this like mint that starts mid palate and runs into the finish. Ooh, just lends itself a little bit more brightness there. But then it's still that darkness. It's this combat that goes on between these bright flavors and the dark flavors of the finishing and all that char. I think that's what I like about this experience the most. And it does have a nice lingering finish too. For the most part, it is, once again, just more of that meringue, the vanillas, and the toasted elements of it from the char on the finish. That's what really lingers the most. But beautiful, beautiful pour. All right, let's get into the scores. So on that finish, I am going to give that one just a thumbs up as well. So thumbs up on everything throughout the tasting, but I really do love the nose. Mm. So, in the end, here on the channel, we do have a whole lot of metrics behind the scenes, but you can summarize this as a flavor score, an experience score, and a value score. Flavor gave it an 82.5, experience gave it an 84, and then value, 70 bucks. I think this is a fun bottle to explore for $70. All good with that. I would buy a backup on this particular one. I do enjoy this quite a bit. And I think this is one that's actually probably more approachable amongst all the hard truth as well. If I was going to introduce someone to hard truth, this might be one that I pull out, pending where they are in their journey. But given that it is that 104 proof and it packs all these flavors, that part of it can make it a lot more accessible. So in the end, final score of an 85 out of 100 gives it a ranking of 19 out of 72 bottles scored thus far this year, and then all time 60 out of 234. So, once again, a pour that I enjoy quite a bit, and a fun one to sit down with. And the glass choice actually helped this out as well, brought out even more amplification to that nose. I just sit with this nose, man. So good. So that concludes the review of the Hard Truth Harvest Rye French Oak. Right now, this is available at the distillery, though you can go on their website and see where else you can get it. I feel like I was able to get the other one off of Sealbach at some point too. So keep an eye on some of those online retailers as well, but you can search their website to see if this one's going to be available in your area. Well, thank you for joining today, Whiskey Friends. Let me know if you got to try this pour yet, what you think of it, and if this review has moved the needle for you whatsoever. All right. We'll catch you on the next whiskey review. Goodbye, buddy.